Hamas was using Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, to run its military operations and store weapons. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said those actions constitute a war crime. Kirby also underscored that Hamas's actions did not lessen Israel's responsibility to protect civilians. But he acknowledged that these have made Israel's efforts to root out the militant group more complicated. The U.S. State Department, meanwhile, said they would like to see safer evacuation for patients from Gaza hospitals. The agency added that it will support an independent third party to conduct those evacuations.
We want Hamas to stop using hospitals as a command post. That would be the easiest way to solve this problem, if they would stop using the civilians that are in hospitals as humanitarian shields. We would support an independent third party or respected third party to conduct those evacuations.
Heavy rains in Gaza bring new concerns for Palestinians, many of whom are homeless and living in makeshift tents after weeks of Israeli bombardment. Displaced people have been covering their water-seeping tents with plastic sheets, trying to limit the damage as much as possible. The start of the rainy season and the possibility of flooding increased fears that the densely populated enclave's sewage system will be overwhelmed. Some of those displaced, however, found the rain a blessing and gathered it in buckets for drinking water, living for weeks with rationed water. But the World Health Organization has voiced concern about the possible outbreak of diseases due to the rains and flooding. Tens of thousands of demonstrators gather in Washington to show solidarity with Israel in its war with Hamas. Organizers estimated 200,000 people attending the march. Among them is a personal trainer originally from Israel who joined the march to, quote, show the world that we won't be exterminated again. Demonstrators also called for the release of hostages, holding up photos of people kidnapped by Hamas. They also condemned the rise in anti-Semitic violence and online harassment. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. U.S. President Joe Biden says his goal in upcoming talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping is to resume normal communications. Biden says he is trying to alter the relationship between the two countries after a period of strained ties. This includes restoring military-to-military contacts to avoid miscalculations between the two forces. Relations between the two nations grew frosty after Biden ordered to shoot down what had been a suspected Chinese spy balloon over American soil. Biden and Xi are expected to meet during the APEC summit in San Francisco.
To get back on a normal course of corresponding, being able to pick up the phone and talk to one another if there's a crisis, being able to make sure our military still have contact with one another. We can't take, as I told you, we're not trying to decouple from China, but what we're trying to do is change the relationship for the better.
Mexico's first openly non-binary magistrate and prominent LGBTQ activist has been found dead. Authorities said Ociel Baena was found lifeless at home in the central state of Aguascalientes. Baena's body was found along with that of another person whom local media identified as Baena's partner. Preliminary findings suggest that the deaths could have been a, quote, personal matter. Baena had been celebrated across Latin America for their work to advance the rights of the LGBTQ community. Brazil's Meteorology Institute issues a high danger alert due to heat wave. The alert covers more than half of the country's regions, including Rio de Janeiro, and will last until Friday. This comes as temperatures could rise up to 13 degrees Celsius above the season's average. Due to the scorching heat, beachgoers in Rio de Janeiro and other areas flock to the sea to cool down. This heat wave, which is the fourth one baking Brazil for this year, has been intensified by El Niño and global warming. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. We now throw you over to RTVM's coverage of a gathering in San Francisco where President Bongbong Marcos is set to meet with the Filipino community in the area.